This video and every video on this channel is made possible by your support on patreon.com/616entertainment. I couldn't do this without you, and your contributions keep this channel alive. You can also grab an official shirt over on prowrestlingtees.com/616entertainment. Anybody born in the 90s remembers the heyday of video game magazines. Whether you were a reader of Nintendo Power, Game Informer, Official PlayStation Magazine, EGM, or anywhere in between, you remember the highlights. There was something special about that pre-internet time where you'd find out about a game by flipping through some pages while your parents paid for groceries. Holy hell, they're making a Marvel vs. Capcom game? Wow, what is Dino Crisis? It was a magical time. There's a ton of convenience that comes along with the age of the internet, and platforms like Discord and Reddit make it easy to find like-minded individuals. Do you know how many of my friends played Subnautica? 0. But on the internet, boom! With 2 clicks, I've got 658,000 friends who also adore this game. Seriously, play Subnautica. And even with that said, I'm still here, neck deep in nostalgia, flipping through these pages. Now this video isn't just a look back at video game magazines in general. No sir, we've got a specific topic at hand here today. Volume 3, Issue 5 of the official US PlayStation Magazine, which was released in February of 2000. First look at Siphon Filter 2? Sick. All new PlayStation 2 screenshots? Even better. But look at the cover at large. Triple H and China representing the upcoming release of WWF Smackdown, which may or may not be the new King of the Ring. But that's not all. We can't miss the wrestling game roundup. Man, oh man, do I have a lot to say about this one. Now might be a good time to say welcome to 616Thunder, one of the 2 weekly wrestling game shows here on this channel. You know, most of the time we play a wrestling game, but today we're going to do something a little different. You always got to have some variety mixed in, right? And how about this? Next week we will play WWF Smackdown on the PlayStation. How's that for a lead-in? Before we get into the preview article on SmackDown, I found this interesting. In a poll asking readers of official US PlayStation Magazine which company they'd like to see more video games from, the WWF reigned supreme. By a wide margin, actually. But across a poll that garnered nearly 10,000 votes, WCW received less than 10% of those votes. Sign of the times in the year 2000, right? ECW trounced WCW, but I mean, there were no ECW games at the time this was published. Hardcore Revolution was just weeks away from release, but I'm sure this poll would have been the same either way, as Hardcore Revolution turned out to be just WWF Attitude with an ECW coat of paint over it. Learn all about ECW's video games through my Triangle X Squared Circle retrospective on them. Link in description. And while we're on the topic of ECW, get a load of this advertisement just a few pages later. This isn't all, guys. This is a 6-page spread. 6 pages! Goodness gracious. But on to the article itself, The Bold and the Beautiful by Joe Rybicki. I'm not going to read it for you, word for word, but I've got several takeaways from the article that I want to share with you. First of all, I really appreciate Joe providing the history of where WWF Smackdown's roots come from. That being the Tokan Retsuden series from Japan. And tying it to Power Move Pro Wrestling, which was basically a US version of Tokan Retsuden, without the New Japan Pro Wrestling license. That's good stuff. And I'm sure when I was 9 years old, that would have been brand new information for me. But how does a misspelling of Bret Hart's name make it past the editors and all the way to print? How about, but wait, you say, hasn't THQ spent the last 3 years or so making WCW games? This is the official US PlayStation Magazine. You'd think they would know the difference between developing and publishing. THQ didn't make the WCW games. Inland Productions and Aki made them. THQ published them. You could argue I'm splitting hairs here, but again, this is the official US PlayStation Magazine, and I feel like delivering the news clearly and correctly was kind of their job. They even list THQ as a publisher later, so it's not like they don't know the difference. Just a poor choice of words, maybe? Let's not get too hung up on the semantics. The screenshots inside, oh my me, I can tell you with certainty, I would have studied these for weeks. I'm talking about I would have stared at these images so long you'd swear they must be updating with new ones. We can now, more than 22 years later, tell the difference between this beta build of Smackdown the magazine got their hands on and the final product that hit store shelves. China's skin tone is way too dark here in the beta, for some reason. The in-engine labels for the moves are displayed on screen, often still with their code names. You gotta love stuff like this, right? Joe Rybicki closes the write-up with the following. Now, of course, this is just a preview of what's to come. We'll have to wait for a final, reviewable version of the game to let you know if Smackdown lives up to its enormous potential. But barring any unforeseen design disasters, this game stands an extremely good chance of snagging the Intercontinental Championship belt. It was at this point that I started to wonder, was Joe Rybicki even a wrestling fan at all? The phrasing of WWF Smackdown could win the Intercontinental Championship belt, it just struck me in such an odd way. That's like saying, oh, this game could be the second best in its field. A big football fan, after talking about an upcoming game's enormous potential, would not say, oh, Madden 2000 could snag a wild card spot. They would say Madden 2000 is primed to win the Super Bowl. I actually reached out to Joe Rybicki on Twitter to try and gain some clarification on this, and he didn't respond, but that's okay, because me, being somebody who wants to deliver actual researched information to my audience, I did my homework. Official PlayStation Magazine, Volume 2, Issue 12. Joe Rybicki opened his WWF Attitude review with, I should make it clear from the beginning, I'm not the world's biggest wrestling fan. So there you have it. No, Joe was not a wrestling fan, and he was honest and upfront about it, which I think we can all appreciate. That settles the odd remark about the Intercontinental title, but I have even more questions surrounding the very next page. Labeled The Main Event, this chart here lays out all of the wrestling games released on PlayStation in the US up to this point. We've got everything from WWF WrestleMania the arcade game all the way down to WCW Mayhem. The best and worst features of each game are listed as well, and this is where I start to question not whether Joe Rybicki was a wrestling fan, as we've already clarified that, but now I'm wondering if he's even played some of these games he's talking about. Joe says WWF Attitude has a disturbingly robust create-a-wrestler mode, and at the time, it did. He buries its slow gameplay and collision detection. Sure, I'll go for that. And we know Joe reviewed Attitude for this very magazine. But what in the hell is he talking about in regards to WCW Nitro and WCW NWO Thunder? He points out that Thunder's rants are fantastic, and that is spot on.
Hey, wait a second. I know what you're thinking. You want to be me like everybody else. Forget about it. You don't have the mental skills or the dexterity. Go on. Go pick somebody else. Pick Hogan or some. Don't pick me. Move. Go. Go.
But he calls the gameplay from both Nitro and Thunder very slow, going as far as to call it extremely slow. Does this look slow to you? Does this look very slow? Extremely slow? For God's sake, I did an episode of this show on WCW NWO Thunder just a couple months ago, and what was the most common observation in the comments? The ridiculous speed of the gameplay. Seriously, all of you pointed out how unbelievably fast it is. I did some more research to try and find out if Joe Rybicki reviewed Nitro or Thunder for the magazine, and it took hours, but I found it. Volume 2, Issue 5. Joe Rybicki reviewed Thunder, and he calls it slow. Taste is subjective. I can say I really enjoyed Resident Evil 3 Remake, and you can say you absolutely hated it. That's fine. Opinions are opinions. But I don't think calling the Inland Productions developed WCW video games extremely slow is even up for debate. That's like reading an article where someone described this flannel shirt as green. You know, he did give Thunder a 1 out of 5, so that makes sense, but I don't know, extremely slow? I don't think so. But the oddities don't stop there. What the hell does this mean? Under the hottest pre-orders section, official US PlayStation Magazine describes ECW Hardcore Revolution as Midway's popular update of the ancient arcade game brings the whole thing into 3D. Best played with 3 friends, or enemies. I don't have to tell you that Midway didn't make ECW's games, Acclaim did. I don't have to say anything, because this write-up is clearly about Gauntlet Legends, which just so happens to be listed right above ECW Hardcore Revolution. So they must have been swapped, right? Gauntlet Legends write-up will say something like, take control of extreme icons like Tommy Dreamer and Raven in the first ever ECW video game. Nope, Gauntlet Legends. Motorcycle racing doesn't get a look very often with video games, so if you're a fan of the sport, it's worth checking out. Video game magazines were awesome, man. Sometimes they were a little messed up. Look, mistakes happen. Sometimes I forget to write out video descriptions, and the whole video will go live with later in the description box. It happens. We had some fun today looking at a couple goofs, wait, what are you talking about? Lines in the writing. That's okay. We're just having a good time. Joe Rybicki and the entire staff of official US PlayStation Magazine, in their own way, enriched many of our lives, right? Plus, come on, this Resident Evil 3 ad alone is top tier. Are you kidding? Video game magazines, man. I salute you. There you have it, DanDans, a little stroll down memory lane. Now look, I've got a couple more video game magazines in my closet, so if you'd like to see me make more videos like this, just let me know down in the comments. They wouldn't be wrestling game related, they would just be covering whatever that magazine entails, but this was fun, and if you want to see more, again, just tell me. If you liked this video, consider supporting me over on patreon.com/616entertainment. And hey, I've recently been streaming a little bit over on twitch.tv/616entertainment. We just hit the 75 subscribers goal. So I'm going to play all the way through my favorite game of all time. That's the original Resident Evil from 1996. And we're going to have a blast with that. If that's something you'd like to be a part of, feel free to stop on by. Twitch.tv/616entertainment. It's going to be fun. Till next time, I love ya, and I'll see you soon.